All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Tonight we're going to be talking about the Detroit Lions. They've been getting a lot more hype this past offseason. They're coming off a year where they went 9-8. They just won their first preseason game against the New York Giants. They had a phenomenal draft. They had a phenomenal free agency. There are so many young studs on both sides of the football, but somehow they're still criminally underrated. And it honestly begins and ends with Mr. Jared Goff. I was reading an article that said if Jared Goff really is putting it together, they could do a lot of damage this upcoming season. Jared Goff in the 2016 NFL Draft was selected number 1 overall for a very specific reason, and that's because he's a good quarterback. In his second season, 28 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. In his third year with the Rams, 32 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. He made 2 Pro Bowls in his first, essentially, 2 full years as the Rams starting quarterback. This past season, 29 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. He threw for almost 4,500 yards, threw for 261 yards per game. But for some weird reason, the knock is still on Jared Goff. I want to talk about 2 offensive players today. Denzel Mims, more recent acquisition from the Detroit Lions, former second-round pick, and Sam Laporta, second-round pick from this past year's draft class. But it all starts with the defense. The Detroit Lions last year put up 26.6 points per game. That was good for 5th in the National Football League. I really would not be surprised if they were a top 3 offense this upcoming season. That's what we'll talk about, but I want to make this note on defense. The Detroit Lions are coming off of their best season since 1997. Now, that's based on the defense adjusted value over average over at Football Outsiders, which is one of the most respected and telling advanced stats in the game. The Lions in 2022 ranked 9th in that category for the first time in a quarter century. Okay, they won 5 of their last 6 regular season football games in which their defense, specifically the last 2 weeks of the season against divisional rivals in the Chicago Bears and my Green Bay Packers, the second half defense was essentially how it was in those last 2 games. The last 2 games is, to me, the future of the Detroit Lions defense, and they made so many great moves this past year. They already had insane talent, guys who had great rookie seasons like Aiden Hutchinson, James Houston, sleeper, Kirby Joseph, but they also picked up some veterans, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Cameron Sutton, Emmanuel Mosley when he gets healthy. The Lions' issue was their defense. More specifically, it was their pass defense, and we saw them address that immediately. So even if their defense is around middle of the pack this upcoming season, well, we're going to talk about why this Lions team could easily win over 10 games based on those 2 players on the offensive side of things. But before we get into tonight's video, if you guys enjoy it, be sure to hit that like button, hit that sub button. I post daily NFL content. Lions fans, love you guys so much. You always bless my videos, especially as a Northville native. Appreciate all the love. If we could try and get this video to 250 likes, that would mean the world to me. So we actually saw a couple of these flashes on offense in the Lions' 21-16 victory over the New York Giants in the first preseason game. We saw first-round selection Jahmyr Gibbs, who's a freaking superstar, 6 rushes, 19 yards. We also saw him catch a ball for 18 yards. And then a sleeper, 7th-round draft pick Antoine Green out of North Carolina, who we've talked about on this channel time and time again. So when people are looking at the Lions, and if they believe in Jared Goff as they should, they take a look at the roster on paper and they see glaring holes at wide receiver. They're like, all right, Amon-Ra St. Brown last season is solidifying himself as a wide receiver 1 and a rising star in the National Football League. They swapped essentially Marvin Jones Jr. for DJ Chark, but Jameson Williams is suspended for the first 6 games. You know, he didn't do anything crazy. There was no connection. There was no chemistry between Nate Sudfeld and Jameson Williams. However, he had 2 catches for 18 yards, and we saw him in very limited action in the final, 6 games of the season last year, coming off his torn ACL in the championship game back when he was at Alabama. But people look at Jameson Williams and they're like, all right, we didn't see much from him in his rookie season. Yeah, he was selected in the first round. People like to forget that. But they're like, he's suspended for the first 6 games. What I think the Lions offense is going to be, because here's what people don't understand. Marvin Jones Jr., really solid veteran. Josh Reynolds and Khalif Raymond are still on this football team, and they are extremely underrated in the grand scheme of things outside of Lions fans. But they picked up Sam Laporta, who did not have a catch. He only saw one target in the first preseason game, but there's a reason he's working with the first stringers. There's a reason he's working with the first team. We've heard a quote from offensive coordinator Ben Johnson saying he's earned that right now to be in the first team huddle with Jared Goff and that offensive line. He's proven that over the course of springtime and the work that he's put in. So encouraged with where he's going, still making mistakes, he's still learning. We're putting a lot of pressure on him to pick it up, but I think he's in a really good spot for a first-year tight end. So I'm not saying Sam Laporta is going to have 800 receiving yards and 12 touchdowns in his rookie season, but I was not feeling comfortable. I wasn't feeling confident with Brock Wright, James Mitchell, and kind of this 3 tight end mix that they were running with. Not that there's a huge issue with it, but if you can have a tight end who can block and catch as a rookie especially, but just in general, the tight end is a very important role in the National Football League, i.e. the best tight end ever, Travis Kelce. Look at Patrick Mahomes. They don't really even have a clear-cut wide receiver one. It's Kadarius Toney, but no one's concerned with their passing attack this upcoming season. So I think Sam Laporta rookie season will be somewhere between 400 and 500 yards and a handful of touchdowns, maybe 4 or 5 touchdowns. But long-term, it's great. It's looking really good. And keep in mind, man, the Lions have a really, really good offensive line. So what I think is going to happen with this Lions offense is 6 weeks into the regular season, when the Lions are like 4-2, people are going to be like, oh my God, Jameson Williams is coming back. Kind of like it was last season. Now, Jameson Williams, even though he's suspended for the first 6 games, I do want him to have a good, not technically his rookie season, but I would like to see Jameson Williams statistically and with the eye test obviously have a good rookie year. But Denzel Mims is an interesting player to me that the Lions just recently picked up. This is a guy who was drafted in the 2nd round out of Baylor. 2020 NFL draft. He's not old at all. He's 6'9", 207 pounds. Very lackluster career with the Jets. Couldn't really stay on the field, but we know the Jets offense in the last couple of years that there's been nothing there actually. In Denzel Mims last season at Baylor in 2019, he caught 66 balls for 1,020 yards. 15.5 yards per catch and 12 touchdowns. So don't forget about Denzel Mims. Don't forget about Khalif Raymond. Don't forget about Josh Reynolds, Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery. Both those cats can catch the ball out of the backfield. The Lions have plenty of offensive threats, as we saw last season, and they only got better with the additions of hopefully 12 games from Jameson Williams, or I guess 11 games from Jameson Williams. Marvin Jones, more of a veteran. DJ Chark dealt with some injuries last season. They picked up a tight end after losing TJ in that trade, which was the right idea, especially after the drafting of Sam Laporta. And then you have Jared Goff. So it's like there are no concerns for me as far as I'm concerned with the Detroit Lions offense. Defensively, like I said, based on that stat, the DVOA stat, I don't think the Lions will be worse than middle of the pack this upcoming season. I get it. There's a lot of young talent. But guys like Aiden Hutchinson, James Mitchell, Kirby Joseph, guys we talked about, made impacts in their rookie season. And the Detroit Lions had another great draft picking up in the 1st round. Linebacker out of Iowa, Jack Campbell, Brian Branch in the 2nd round. Absolute steal. The Lions have done a great job. It's as simple as that. If you guys enjoyed this video, hit the like button, hit that sub button. Lions fans, if you want more videos, let me know down below. But guys, give me a win total on this Lions team in the comments section. That's it from me. Hope you have a great rest of your night, and I'll see you guys later.